Ahoy there! Welcome back. Today's video is going to be a cozy spring week. Now, I am a fall and winter girl through and through. It's not that I never liked spring, I like it. But I love it now, especially since gardening last year. It really stole my heart. It is a very beautiful thing. It helped me with being present and slowing down and all those things. And so I plan to continue that hobby or skill this year. And so I'm just excited. I've already started planning my garden and I'm just... So anyways, I thought I'd do a little cozy spring vlog. And I will be doing some baking and DIYs, but today I'm gonna be going to a tulip farm. Well, it's a farm in general, but they have like a pick your own tulip situation. And we usually go there for their pumpkin patch in fall. And I know they have other things, like I know they have a Christmas thing and now they have this like throughout the year, but I've never been to anything other than their, fall pumpkin patch stuff. So I'm very excited. It looks beautiful online, so I'll just be bringing you guys along for that. So let's go. Now, this DIY is pretty straightforward. I am making this for my clock wall out in my garden or patio because I thought it would be a really cute addition to have a more cartoony, animated look. Since my garden is Alice in Wonderland inspired, I thought this would be a cute way to have a little nod to the film. And so I freehanded everything, but I will say if you are more patient than I am, I strongly recommend using a circle cutout to do this part. That way you get seamless lines, but if you don't, you can do like me and just go back and clean with the base color. And I used a paint marker to do the details, and that made it much easier. Now, I completely forgot to film it, but I then added a layer of varnish. Now, here I am trying to figure out how to add it to my clock wall. I thrifted all of these clocks, if you're wondering. I have had this vision since we moved here, so I'm so excited to finally put everything up that I've collected, and I will be adding more, so if you have any ideas, please comment below. Using a thrifted floral bed sheet, I went ahead and cut it, mostly because I'm not going to use all of this fabric for this project, but also it just made it easier to handle. And then I just cut it to the desired length of the ribbon. I'm calling it ribbon because that's what I'm making it. I don't know if that's correct. But to make the little ribbons, you just cut a little slit and then rip. And that little slit takes you the whole way. It'll follow that same thickness all the way down, and you get this cute little frilly look. I was aiming for that, but if you want a little more polished, then I would just go down all the way with the scissors, and then using a safety pin, I went through the inside of the bow and secured it together. And I did that until I got my desired length. My garden beds have a lot of work to be done. My husband will be helping me with most of it. But I did want to show you, I have this one little corner that is intentional. I have some zinnias and some carrots, which I am very excited about. I will be pulling those very soon before obviously prepping the soil. And then over here I have this garden bed that has a lot more work to be done. And this corner will probably be my son's mud kitchen. I'm very excited about that. But the only thing on the to-do list today is chopping up this super invasive plant that we've been dealing with since we moved here. But honestly, I'm not going to complain too much because it is really fun to take these huge shears and just chop away. A disclaimer, this is not my original recipe. I followed a recipe by Wood and Spoon. I will link it down below. I did make some tweaks to make it gluten-free and aesthetically, but overall it is their recipe. Taking 1 3/4 cups of gluten-free flour, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1 1/2 teaspoon of sugar, and mix that all up. In that same bowl, add 1/3 cup of shortening and 6 tablespoons of butter. Using a pastry cutter or the back of a fork like I'm doing here, just go ahead and mix that up as best as you can. The end result should look like clumpy still, but well combined. Now you're going to add 5 tablespoons of ice water, but half a tablespoon at a time. And just make sure to toss gently until the pastry comes together into moist clumps. Once it looks like this, go ahead and pat the dough into a round flat disc and wrap it in saran wrap. Make sure, and this is key, to refrigerate for at least an hour. Now for the filling, you're going to place a saucepan over medium heat, add 1 cup of blueberries, half a teaspoon of lemon zest, 2 teaspoons of lemon juice, 3 tablespoons of sugar, 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, and a pinch of salt. I mashed mine up a bit using a glass cup, which is what I do for my refried beans. And then once you get this consistency, just go ahead and store it in a heat-safe bowl. I stored it in the refrigerator because you want to make sure that this is at least room temperature by the time you use it. I'm going to roll out my pastry on my counter, so I just dusted it with a little bit of that same gluten-free flour, and I got my egg wash ready, so just whipped an egg in a little bowl and I set it aside. When I first tried to roll out my pastry, I felt it was a little too lumpy, and so I took a risk and I just kneaded it a little bit. And I say risk because pastries are very, very sensitive to temperature, so the more you work it, the more chances of messing it up. But it just wasn't rolling out right. So I gave it a little bit of a knead and tried again. So I dusted my counter, dusted the pastry, and then just rolled out the dough until it was about 1/8 of an inch in thickness. Now, when it comes to the shape of your Pop-Tart, you can get creative. In this recipe, it was actually circles. I kind of wanted more of a rectangular shape, but this is the only cookie cutter that was close to that, so I rolled with it. And you're going to need a top and a bottom for each Pop-Tart, so just try your hardest to get an even number. Now, use a pastry brush to paint the egg wash around the perimeter of half of the cutouts. Now you're going to add 1 to 1.5 teaspoons of that filling to the same ones you added the egg wash to. And if you want purple glaze like mine, just save about 2 teaspoons of this filling. Now add a top to each one that you put filling on. Now just use a fork to crimp the edges. And once that's done, you are going to have to freeze these for 2 hours. I know, this was the hardest part for me. So I actually baked them the following morning because 2 hours would have put me way too late into the night. So you're going to bake at 375, and once you're ready, just go ahead and lay them out on your baking sheet. If they aren't already, my baking sheet didn't fit in my freezer, so I had to freeze them separately. And you're going to have to poke a couple of vent holes into each one and then just brush with the remaining egg wash and pop in the oven for 25 minutes or until golden brown. And for your glaze, you're going to whisk together a cup of powdered sugar and about 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. Give that a good mix. It is going to feel like it's not enough juice, but don't be tempted to add more until you've completely combined it all. I did add a smidge more because the rest of the powder wasn't quite mixing in, but you don't want to add too much because then it'll just run off of your Pop-Tart. Then taking that little bit of blueberry filling that you saved, add it, and you will make this beautiful purple color. And if you didn't have enough on the side, you can always do food coloring, but I really liked this way. When adding the glaze, I did allow the Pop-Tarts to cool just a bit and then added the glaze to the center and then moved it off to the sides to get that cute little drip effect. But I mean, you can glaze them however you want. And then I did garnish one just because it was cute. But you don't have to. They look cute just like this.